All right. Welcome to another edition of the Franklin Community High School Career Exploration Project. With us today, we have a life actuary at Indiana Farm Bureau, and we have with us Eric Skirvin. Eric, thank you for joining us today.
Thanks for having me, Brian.
So I guess first of all, just kind of talk about your role as a life actuary, what it is you do, and any jobs in the past you may have had that have worked you up to where you are now.
Okay. So like you said, I work at Indiana Farm Bureau Insurance, and as a life actuary, I work on life insurance products. So those are products where somebody pays premiums and either they get a benefit when they die, or we also do annuities, which pay out as long as the insured is living. So they're kind of opposite things going on there. But what I do is I develop and price products that we can sell. I analyze our actual product experience so that I can kind of determine how our products are doing financially, see what, kind of things we might need to change on future versions as far as premium rates or, lengths of the term, that kind of thing. And I also work a lot with, our accountants, our investment department, that kind of thing, so that we can put our financial statements together and calculate our earnings.
Yeah. So as far as previous jobs leading up to this, what are some of those that you've had?
Right. So I actually started at Indiana Farm Bureau about 14 years ago as an entry-level actuarial technician. So in this career, some people may know this, some might not, but there are a series of exams that you have to pass to actually become credentialed. And there are quite a few of them, and they're very difficult. But I had none when I started, so I was fortunate to even get that job. So I was doing a lot of the low-level, entry-level stuff, and over that period of time, I've just kind of worked my way up, taking exams while I'm working, and having a family. So started as a technician. Once I passed a couple exams, I got promoted to an actuarial student role is the title. That's when the company will actually help pay for my materials and exam fees and give me study time at work. Then a few years after that to a full-blown actuarial analyst. And then once I got certified as a credentialed actuary, my titles are, I'm a member of the American Academy of Actuaries and Society of Actuaries. So that's when I get to have those fancy letters after my name. Very pretentious stuff, but you got to work pretty hard for that. And I also manage our reinsurance department, which they report up to the chief actuary. And so that's something on the side that I kind of do with all the actuarial work that I get to have fun with.
So how many exams have you taken?
Let's see. To get my associate designation, there were, I think, 6 official actuarial exams, and then there are some other requirements as well. There's actually some college course requirements, which fortunately I had. And just to back up real quick, I did not know that I wanted to be an actuary until after I graduated college. So where did you go to college? I went to the University of Dayton. I started off in computer engineering and then changed my major to management information systems. And again, at that point, I think I'd heard of actuary, but I had no idea what it was. And Dayton didn't have an actuarial program. It's come a long way, though, in the last 15 to 20 years. But when I graduated, I worked a couple jobs, didn't really love what I was doing. And it took about 1.5 years before I was fortunate enough to get the opportunity at Indiana Farm Bureau and work my way up there. But my degree in management information systems was certainly not a waste, because I work with computers all the time. And so a lot of that was directly applicable to being an actuary, which was nice.
Yeah. So, it seems like there's tons of exams. I would assume that it just feels like you're studying all the time.
Yeah, certainly when I'm ramping up to take an exam, because they're offered, maybe twice a year, depending on what exam you're doing. It's a lot of studying. And I have 3 young kids, a full-time job and a wife and everything else, a yard where the grass doesn't stop growing and a dog that needs walked. And it gets harder, obviously, as you have more responsibility in life. But and I am not yet done. As you know, I have 2 exams left to get my fellowship designation, which is the absolute stopping point, top of the mountain. And I am determined to get there. So that's why I'm a middle-aged student still.
I would assume just hypothetically, that your friends probably notice that you study a lot too. Just
Yeah, they tend to notice, when I'm having to turn down social invites left and right, leading up to them. Yeah, they're like, dang man, you can't do anything. You're always studying. Yeah,
well,
it's the life I've chosen. So
hey, yeah, I'm assuming they're probably proud of you and happy for you too. So, so what kind of led you to this?
So I've always been pretty good at math. I've always enjoyed math, and just learning more about this career, this job, like I said, shortly after college is kind of when I really started looking into it. It just kind of checked all the boxes for me. Insofar as what the work is, it's working with numbers, with money, with stats, with computers, and it's a good career. It's one of those jobs that shows up all the time on those best jobs lists that they publish every year, and I think there's good reason for that. It's generally low stress. There's high demand for it. It pays pretty well. And I think it has a lot of upward mobility. There's just a lot of good things about it. And I like what I do. I like doing, all the different projects, developing products and things like that. So yeah, it just was a good fit for me.
So, obviously not every job is going to have its pluses. Every job is going to have its cons, its minuses. So what are some of yours? What are some of the things you like? Some of the things you don't like about the job? Obviously, all the tests could potentially be one.
Yeah, that's probably going to be the primary con when I get to that, but I'll start with the pros. I think I kind of mentioned some of those with your last question. It's just a career that has good flexibility, good stability. I mean, like I said, I can work from home now, like a lot of people are currently doing these days, but I can generally do that anytime. Just most of the work's on a computer, working in spreadsheets, databases, things like that. And it's just, I think the flexibility, stability, the work satisfaction, all that combined just makes it, I think, a solid choice for anyone who is good in math and wants to go down that path, which leads me to the con side, the exams. They are not easy. There are a lot of them. They're expensive to even take. So if you're not working with a company that is helping reimburse you for that, it's going to cost you a lot of money to even attempt those. So, and in my case, like I said, I didn't major in it. I didn't even really learn about it until after college. So I kind of had a late start into it. Kids these days that major in it are going to take classes that are directly tailored to those exams. And a lot of them have at least 2 or 3 knocked out already when they get out of college. So there's probably about, you had asked this earlier, I don't think I answered it, 10 to 12 total to get all the way up to your fellowship designation. So yeah, they're fun.
So, what kind of personality do you think for a person who's looking to get into this field, what type would be good and what type of person may struggle in this field?
Okay, so I think one thing that's probably good about this profession, as far as for a high school kid maybe that's thinking about it, is the math thing is almost like a stop-start proposition. Are you good at math? Do you like math? If the answer to that's no, chances are this isn't going to be the career for you. But if you can answer yes to both those questions, then I think that's a great start. That this might be something that you want to look at. So from that point, I think being a good communicator is very important. Even though most of the work that actuaries do, you're probably going to be working alone on a computer, crunching the numbers, that kind of thing. You also have to be able to communicate what you're doing and the results of what you're doing to other people in your own organization, to any customers that you're working with. And a lot of it's kind of complicated. It may sound Greek to most people on the surface. So you really have to be able to communicate well and explain what it is that's going on so that others can understand it. And just someone who is always wanting to learn, I guess. Again, with the studying, that's just a reality of it. And one other thing I should mention, they added a few years ago an actuarial analyst track which is a much less rigorous, complex track than the professional ones, the one that I'm going down. And that's, I think, 1 to 2 years, only maybe 2 or 3 exams. They're much less complicated. And I mean, it's a great career field in general. So maybe if you're not the strongest at math, but you enjoy it, you still might have a potential going down that path. So it's all worth looking into.
Yeah. So you talked about math. So I'm assuming, maybe like we have pre-cal here, we have finite math, we have business calc, we have AP calc. I'm assuming taking some of those classes would help. What other things could people do to prepare for a career like an actuary?
Those are all great classes. I would say every math class that I've ever taken, other than possibly trigonometry in high school, haven't had much trig. I've seen it pop up every once in a while, but everything beyond that is going to be good. I mean, I don't know if you have differential equations these days now in high school. Probably not, because it's really hard, but I mean, we do stuff up to that level, and all the way back to your basic math. So those will be good. Being able to program, just being comfortable on a computer. I mean, we use spreadsheets for a lot of things, and you can write macros to have your spreadsheets do things automatically. So if you know Visual Basic or other programming language, that's going to be a great benefit, because we're writing code scripts from time to time to get our applications to do things automatically, crunch lots of numbers, that kind of thing. Any communications classes, anything business related is going to have some value, I'd say.
Okay. So last question, just some general high school or general advice for a high school student, whether it's something you wish you knew or, just anything you can think of that may help a high school student.
Okay. So I think the big one, if someone's watching this and they think, hey, this sounds like it might be for me, go to the website, beanactuary.org. That's BEAN actuary, ACTUARY.org. It has tons of great information about the exams, about the career, about what people do in the career, lots of different, interviews and testimonials with real actuaries and that kind of thing. So I think that's a great place to just spend some time going through. The first couple of exams are probability and financial mathematics. They have sample problems for those. As a high schooler, I would look at those. I wouldn't worry about whether or not you can actually solve a lot of those, but do those problems look like something that you think, you could figure out or would like to try? If the answer to that's yes, that's a good sign that you're probably going to be able to, weather the storm going through all the studying that you have to do for this and taking the exams. So I would start with that. I think, I've had kids shadow me at work before. If you know anyone who's an actuary, your parents have friends, I think that's a great thing to do. Shadow an actuary to see what they do. I guess the world's kind of different now than it was a year ago for things like that. But maybe you can watch them at home, work from their home office doing work. So, and then, if you think that maybe being an actuary is for you, there are a lot of colleges, especially in Indiana, that have actuarial science programs, which if you think you want to go into it, I would definitely recommend that. Purdue has a great program, Butler, Ball State, University of Indianapolis, and IU does not, but they have a math program, and I know they have a couple professors that specialize in exam prep and helping out kids who want to go down the actuary path. So even University of Dayton, as I said earlier, they did not have a program when I went there. Now they've added it as a minor. So it's become a much more, I think, popular and widespread career over the last, decade or two. And so there's a lot of demand for it. And those would be my biggest,
Basically do your research.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
And if anyone ever has questions they want to ask me directly, you can give them my email or whatever to get in touch, and I'm always happy to help with that.
All right. Once again, Eric Skirvin, Life Actuary at Indiana Farm Bureau. Eric, thank you so much for joining us. We appreciate you spending the time with us.
No problem. My pleasure. Thanks for having me, Brian.